and welcome to Business Line. This time we focus on the elections in Israel, the second in 2 years. Millions of voters went to the polls after the collapse of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition government back in December. When asked in the run-up to the elections, the Israeli said the international problems were overplayed by the previous government and what people want is solving the domestic crisis. We take a closer look at the country's economy. In the final 3 months of 2014, Israel's gross domestic product expanded by 7.2% year-on-year. That's an impressive rebound from the effects of last summer's Gaza war, which held back factory output, consumer spending, and forced tourists to cancel their trips. Moreover, comparing the first and the second half of 2014, it seems the economy managed to keep the same pace of growth. 2.7% for the first 6 months and 2.6% in the second half. But what's behind the sweet figures? It's the high cost of living. This issue sparked protests last autumn, also known as the Milky-protest. It started when a 25-year-old now Nakis posted a photo on Facebook showing the grocery bill from his local supermarket in Berlin, with many items, including a chocolate pudding, selling for a third of the price of a similar milky dessert in Israel. Only a few hours after the photo went up, the post had 13,000 Facebook likes and was a hot topic on Twitter. Euronews' James Frainie talked to Tal Schneider, a leading political correspondent and blogger in Israel, about the election's economic issues.
But what's the biggest issue that voters are talking about?
We felt and we experienced a rise in the prices of housing and goods in the last 5-6 years, and that is all people talk about. They don't talk about terror. They don't talk about Iran in a weird way. Specifically, they do talk about terror a bit. Obviously, we are 8 months after a devastating war, so they do talk about security issues, but they hardly talk about the Iranian issue. Was that a thing that was put on the agenda by the Prime Minister, but was not really dealing with what people have on mind.
Moving on, China's military ambitions are causing more concerns now when it's been announced that the country has increased its weapons exports. The world arms market is estimated to be worth around 300 billion euros, and China has now got its piece of the pie.
Made in China. The country has become the world's third largest exporter of arms after the US and Russia. Chinese exports of major arms increased by 143% between 2005-2009 and 2010-2014. 3 countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Myanmar, were the main buyers of weapons from China, which also exported to 18 African states. The details come in a new report from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, which shows China's share of global arms exports increased from 3 to 5%, overtaking Germany, France and the UK. The 5 biggest importers were headed by India. The top 3 accounted for 33% of total arms imports. The flow of arms to Africa, the Americas, Asia and Oceania and the Middle East increased significantly, while there was a notable decrease in arms shipments to Europe. Overall, the volume of international transfers of major weapons in the 4 years to 2014 was 16% higher than in the previous 4 years. The data in the report from SIPRI reflects the volume of arms deliveries and not the financial value of the deals. The Institute compares arms sales over 5-year periods because of large fluctuations in the amount of arms traded year on year.
And a big scandal in a small country. The US regulators accused Andorran bank BPA of laundering money for organized crime groups. The mountainous principality relies heavily on financial services. In fact, the banking assets here are about 6.5 times annual economic output. No surprise the US allegations were such a huge blow.
Spanish bank Banco Madrid has become a casualty of a scandal which has engulfed its Andorran parent. The bank, which caters for wealthy clients, has filed for bankruptcy. Customers rushed to empty their accounts after the US Treasury accused the bank's Andorran parent, Banca Privada d'Andorra, of laundering money for organised crime groups. The cash withdrawals prompted Banco Madrid to halt business and seek protection from its creditors. The bank had 15,000 clients with assets under management of about €6 billion. The mountainous Principality of Andorra between France and Spain is heavily reliant on financial services. Analysts say the problems facing BPA, the third richest in Andorra, could strain national finances. Authorities have taken over the running of the bank. Its chief executive, Jean-Paul Miguel, who was suspended along with the rest of the board, was arrested at the weekend on suspicion of money laundering. US authorities allege BPA facilitated the movement of $4.2 billion in transfers related to Venezuelan money laundering. State-appointed managers at the bank have capped cash withdrawals in an attempt to contain the damage from the US accusations.
Japanese people are notoriously headstrong, and yet they know when it's time to change course, especially in business. Proof of that came from Nintendo this week. The Japanese gaming company is facing stiff competition in the mobile arena. So, in order to overcome the obstacles, it will now take a new approach. This is it. This is IT.
If you like video games as I do, what I'm about to tell you will be music to your ears. If you don't, well, just know that your smartphone will soon welcome a group of very famous people. Ever heard of an Italian plumber named Mario? That's right, Japan's Nintendo has finally announced it will start developing games for smart devices featuring its iconic characters. To do so, the video game maker will partner with DeNA, a major Japanese mobile and online gaming company. To cement the alliance, the two companies said they will invest more than 170 million euros into each other's capital. In a way, Nintendo and DeNA are both looking for a comeback. Despite a very loyal fan base and hits like Mario Kart, Nintendo faces an increasingly tough environment. Customers seem to prefer smartphone apps. Weak sales of its 3DS handheld were blamed in January when the company halved its operating earnings target. DeNA, on the other hand, was born in 1999 as a browser game developer and then moved to apps. The transition was hard, as recent financial results show. In the 3 months to December, revenue fell 17% year-on-year, while operating profit was down 55%. That was it. That was IT.
That was it for now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.